Welcome to the Inglorious Blasters Podcast, a Star Wars Legion podcast talking anything and everything glorious about the game. My name's Koray, and with me today is John and Brendan. How's it going, my laser-brained friends?
Going good.
Laser-brained. Yeah, that seems apt.
Yeah, everyone likes going pew-pew over here, so we got lasers on the brain.
It's like we have blasters or something.
I feel like Leia has all the good Star Wars insults, so I'm going to run out of them soon.
I mean, yeah, you might have to start digging into some of the books and the comics.
Yeah, 100%. Today on the podcast, we got some new information on Din. We got some new upgrade cards to show you guys. And then we're going to go over our tournament recap for Nova. So that's going to take up a good chunk of our podcast today. So stick around, should be fun. Brendan, how about you tell us some of the new cards going on with Din?
Yeah, so Din, just as a little reminder for people if they don't have the card up, he's a mercenary operative who can go for both the Empire and the Rebellion. And a lot of his stuff had already been teased back in Mini Stravaganza, but we got a few new things with his full write-up. The first being an option for a weapon upgrade, his Beskar Spear, which is a melee weapon with 2 red dice and 1 black die. And just as a reminder, he does surge to crit. So, that's pretty good with that dice pool. The spear is Din Djarin only. And you gain Duelist. So while performing a melee attack, if you spend an aim token, you gain Pierce 1. While defending against a melee attack, you spend a dodge token, you gain Immune Pierce, which is pretty awesome because his independent is aim 1 and dodge 1. So if you're not giving him orders, he's got both available to him.
What a monster.
Yeah, it's great. And then just to remind everyone, so if you put this on him and if you want to do just a melee attack, he's got Arsenal 2, so he can include his Vibro Knife, which is another 2 black dice and lethal 1. So if you have 2 aims, you could make it a Pierce 2 attack.
Seems good to me. Throw on Tenacity, and then you got 6 dice in melee.
Yeah. It's very, very good weapon. And then we got the actual wording on 2 of his command cards. So we already knew his 3 pip, which was Whistling Birds. But we have his 1 and 2 pip. I'll start with his 2 pip. I like those odds. The order only goes to him, and that's the trend we see with all of his command cards. His 2 pip, I like those odds. Din Djarin gains 1 aim token. After Din Djarin performs an attack action, he may perform an additional attack action against a different unit. So basically a version of like Gunslinger. Or if you want, it's like Son of Skywalker Light, because it can't be against the same unit.
Reptilian Rampage. All in that same double attack category. Very spicy.
Yeah, seems good.
Gets him the aim, which is pretty useful for if you're doing shooting, because, his pistol has both lethal 1 and long shot 1. Yep, so it's a pretty good card. Can't really complain too much about it. In his 1 pip, This Is the Way, Din Djarin gains 1 dodge token and Relentless. After you perform a move action, you may perform a free attack action. Seems pretty great, especially if you want to play him as a brawler. If you have a jetpack on him, he's speed 3, do your 2 speed 3 moves into a unit and still attack him. It seems like a powerful drug.
That's probably how I want to play him. Just get up in there, and then, once you're dug in, Whistling Birds. It's going to be gross.
It's pretty much like a Saber user dive, because with the Relentless, double move, 2 aims, because of tactical 1, and then that triggers the double pierce. So you're going to either have 5 or 6 dice, if you have a wound or not, from triggering Tenacity, and you're throwing 2 red, 3 black, or 3 and 3. So it's basically a lightsaber when you have those 2 aims and have Pierce 2, which is pretty crazy for how fast he comes at you.
It's going to be nuts. We're going to see a lot of Din.
We're going to see a lot of him, and I just want to think of the crazy scenario where Din moves speed 3 twice and gets in there with Relentless. You know what? Burst of speed gives you the same thing. So imagine Din and a lightsaber running in at you on the same turn.
Yeah, Empire's gonna be insane.
I mean, so will
imagine you're talking
the
about
Rebellion.
Vader.
Vader's
Yeah.
my guy. But, Op Luke next to a Din.
Oh yeah, Op Luke is. Yeah,
Look,
exactly.
here's the scariest thing I could think of. I mean, Op Luke or even Sabine, could go in there with the Darksaber. I mean, Rebellion's got options. I mean, if you want to go extra spicy, you could do Commander Luke, Sabine, and Din. So
I'm here for it. Just all the sabers.
yeah, get everybody in there.
It's refreshing to see both the command cards also don't have like a ridiculous amount of text where you have to read them over and over to digest them. Like they're powerful and straightforward.
Yeah, his 1 and 2 are very straightforward
cool.
compared to the 3 pip.
Yeah,
Whistling Birds is the one you have to think about.
A little bit more involved. Yep.
Yeah, even then that's not that bad. But,
No,
yeah.
no, it's not. And then we have one more command card, and it's for Grogu. In the event people take Grogu as part of the rebellion, with just a reminder, either Din or IG-11 when IG-11 also comes out, because there's an option for that. Grogu's command card does not issue any orders, and it's called the Hand Thing. This card cannot be selected during the command phase. So I just want to talk about that before we get into the rest of it. You're taking this card as knowing you'll never be able to use it to give orders. So it guarantees whatever list you are building, you're going to be using standing orders at least once if you play all 6 turns.
Which is probably okay.
Yeah, which is fine, but you have to think about that if you are bringing this card. So the rest of the card states, when a friendly unit at range 1 and in line of sight of Grogu is declared as a defender against a ranged attack, you may discard this card from your hand. If you do, the defending unit gains 2 dodge tokens and gains deflect during this attack. I think this is a pretty great card to make an opponent really think, do I want to shoot this unit? If nothing else, I see this as a counter to some of John's favorite things to do, fire supports.
I was just thinking about
all of a sudden,
multiple
any
surges
unit
in
within range 1 of Grogu, it's all of a sudden I'm going to deflect this shot back at you.
Oh man, imagine those on Rebel Wookiees. Like suddenly they surge on defense, and you can nail them back. It's great. I love this.
Yeah, I guess the only debate is it worth the 17 extra points and maybe your opponent scoring a victory point if they kill Grogu? I don't know.
Time will tell, I guess. We'll kind of figure it out.
The way I'm looking at it,
weird, but fun.
Grogu feels like a better upgrade on IG-11 than he does on Din, because Din wants to move in there and murder things in close combat. IG-11 has gunslinger range 4 guns, so he can just sit back with Grogu and you can use Grogu's abilities to maybe heal some stuff. So I mean,
that's initially what I'm thinking too. On IG instead.
Yeah,
we'll see how it goes.
I don't play Rebels, so I'll still just try and claim the asset either way. So,
Cool. So that's everything new about Din. How about we get into our Nova recap? So Nova was a lot of fun. Yeah, I mean, let's just start there. I haven't been to Nova ever. This is my first one.
Same.
How about you, Brendan?
Yeah,
Same?
my first time going. It was great.
Yeah, it was a ton of fun. Really enjoyed it. Definitely would love to go back if I can. Brendan, how about you want to go over some of your games first?
Yeah. So Koray and I both played on Heat 2. And as I can't remember if I actually said it in the last cast, but I'm pretty sure I did. I did Vader Lat because, murder. So Had a lot of fun with the list. I had made a couple changes compared to the list I had brought to some local tournaments. But really the only changes was I had put armor-piercing shells on the lat instead of high velocity, just so I had a better answer for other armor. And I took out a T-21B trooper from a shore squad and put in Del Mico and recon intel on both of my shore troopers. Otherwise, my list was all the same as stated in another episode. So I had a lot of fun with this list. Actually pretty happy with how it worked out. But I've learned some great things for the future to try and play this list better if I keep playing some variation of it. I was just, my bid was 11 points?
Yeah, I feel like
11
it was high.
points.
Yeah. You beat me.
789.
That's what I remember. Yeah.
So I was blue all of my games. My first game, I thought I had the advantage going into it because it was against a Republic list that was Rex, Padme, and a bunch of shooty Wookiees. And a bunch of clones. We ended up on hostage exchange, and it was minefield and rollout. So I definitely misplayed the placing of the mines a little bit. So my hostage carrier took a little kaboomy early on. Luckily, the hostage unit never died, and they just ran with it. Rex did his thing with the other hostage and made it run fast. So my initial misplay was in forgetting the fact that I'm blue player, and I could just have the other person come to me. Because, yes, we were playing MOV, but the win counts more than anything, because only undefeated we're going to continue. I got a little aggressive, and the lat blew up first thing, turn 2, because bowcasters and shooty wooks are good. So unfortunately, my Vader doesn't have burst of speed, so he had to hoof it a little bit after the lat blew up.
Did you have commander or
Commander?
Operative? Okay, yeah, so he's a slow guy.
He is slow. I will say, it was a really good game. I almost made a chunk of his army run off the board because Master of Evil is great, as is giving out an extra suppression all the time because fear. So I did ruin a number of attempted standby shares from Padme, which was very fun.
As you should.
Yeah. Ultimately, though, I lost on kill points. I made a few boneheaded decisions and lost some units that I really shouldn't have. And ultimately, the nail in the coffin was Vader went down on turn 6. So I lost my first game.
Did you like the inclusion of Fear?
Yes, I had a lot of fun with Fear throughout the day. It just gave me so many options. Fear is not necessarily the best upgrade. We've discussed it before, but I like the extra counter it provides for standbys. Because yes, you could get rid of a standby with a force push, but you can also get rid of it by giving out suppressions. Now I've got 2 ways to deal with standbys on Vader if I need to.
It's really helpful outside of your Master of Evil turns. Because you don't have to rely on solely that card. It's just 1 suppression to remove 1 standby. Seems good.
Yeah, or just keep putting suppression on a unit and keep it panicked. Yeah,
true.
My second game was against a Blizzard Force list that had Op Vader, 2 E-Webs, and a ATST, as well as the 2... No, it was actually, I think, only 1 of the rapid response stormtroopers, and then a bunch of snowtroopers with flamethrowers. This game was much less close than the first one. We ended up playing Intercept the Transmissions, and the lat got Vader in, Vader just started murdering things. Things started panicking because suppression. By the end of turn 4, I had killed everything of his except the ATST and the 2 E-Webs. And he had killed Vader and the Lat.
Seems like a decent trade.
Yeah, so at that point, I didn't think I had enough firepower in me to actually take down the ATST and the 2 E-Webs remaining. And he definitely didn't have enough to deal with all of my activations. And
Intercept.
On intercept, he only had 2 E-Webs, so he wasn't gonna. I was already winning points at that point, so we just tallied it up like we got to the end of turn 6, and did the points that way. So
cool.
that was a fun game. So at this point, I'm now 1-1. Doing pretty well. And then my last game, I went up against one of the few Separatist players, because there were not many at the tournament. I gotta say, I loved the idea of this list, but I was the wrong person for him to come across. So his list was, I believe it was 4 B1s, 1 Magna Guard with Rocket, Grievous, Maul, and 2 Flamer Spiders.
Interesting.
Press forward. Get kills.
Yep. So as soon as I saw that list and knew my really only answer to all of his shenanigans was Vader, because the rest of my list is basically a gun line, I learned from the mistakes of my first game and held back. And just kept shooting. It was at this point I was very happy I had the impact missiles on the Lat, because of the spiders.
You blew up some spiders.
I blew up some spiders. So 1 spider died turn 1 because it got half the wounds and taken out of it, and the Lat didn't move, and it had moved close enough that Vader was able to get out and murder it. So it died. The other spider ended up getting closer, but at about half health by the end of turn 1. Grievous had taken about a wound from sniper shots, maybe 2, and Maul actually was within striking distance of Vader by the end of turn 1. At turn 2, my opponent got very aggressive and went first with Maul into Vader. So Maul went in, swung at Vader, and I think he actually didn't do any wounds to Vader, maybe 1. Vader was pretty happy and decided, you know what, I'll return the favor, and swung at him, and I think I did about 3 wounds to Maul off of Vader, maybe only 2. But then I just force pushed Maul away from Vader, so the rest of my units can just shoot him to death.
Just tee off on him.
Yeah. So Maul didn't see the end of turn 2.
Nice.
Yeah, and that also happened to be the, I think that was also my Master of Evil turn. So, put a bunch of suppression on Grievous and the Magna Guard. So, Grievous didn't panic, but the Magna Guard had also been shot by a lot of snipers and mortars turn 1. So, turn 2, they started running for the board edge. Spoiler alert, turn 3, they also ran for the board edge, but they did not run off the board. I was very disappointed about that.
Oh, so close.
One more turn it would have been. But so ultimately it was a bloodbath, and I felt bad. I ended up tabling my opponent, so that was great for my MOV for the day, but I felt bad about it because I tabled him, and my only 2 full units to die were 2 of my strike teams. I don't think the Lat took a single wound.
That seems to be the common consensus. MOV is really mean-spirited. Let me put it that way.
I was not there, and I kept refreshing, like, when you guys were playing, and the amount of times I saw was tabled in TTO, I was like, this can't be right. Like, this never happens, and I'm saying this multiple times. So yeah, after hearing all the feedback, I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's not the first time I've tabled someone, but it never feels good.
No, not at all.
It never does. So I felt so bad about it, but unfortunately, it was the way to score. So despite
it's the
having
way to move up in the ranks.
right, so despite having lost my first game, end of the day of the 33 players that day, because thankfully, got some good MOV in my games. Even the one I lost, I got half. So I ended up getting 7th for the day. Much better than I expected after losing the first game.
No, you did a good job. It's a little rough to forget that you're blue, but I imagine you won't make that mistake again.
Nope.
So.
Nope. As I said, by the third game, I learned my lesson. And I just sat back and shot.
I definitely learned some things as well, and I'll get into that soon. But yeah, great job, Brendan. I know you're gonna make top cut next time. You're just like super close.
We'll
Good
see.
job,
I
Brendan.
always make stupid mistakes. I go to enough things. Maybe it'll eventually happen. I don't know.
I think it will. You just gotta have faith.
Or maybe I should start practicing. I don't know. Is that the key? Practice?
Practice seems overrated. You just have to build a really oppressive blue player deck, which Vader Lat does. But let me tell you about Blizzard Force with Vader. So for those of you that don't know, I played Blizzard Force with Vader. So it was Commander Vader. He had push, saber throw, burst of speed, and then vigilance. And then I played 4 speeder bikes. They all had emergency transponders. That's a really good upgrade. And then I had 2 heavy response units, the stormtroopers, and then I had 2 snows, nothing on them, and then 1 officer, nothing on them. So for 10 acts, and then a 10-point bid. So I was blue player most of my games. I just missed blue player one of them. So first game, I will say this, but if I don't remember it, all my games are super, super close. This list is kind of funny in the fact that I feel like I'm losing until Vader and the bikes strike at the same time. Because, they might slowly pick off, a snowtrooper or, maybe a bike wound here and there or a bike model. And then, all of a sudden, everything crashes in at once and, suddenly I feel like I'm back in the game. So just want to throw that out there. All my games are super close.
So if I can interject real quick, Koray, I can agree all of your games were super close because all of Corey's games went to full dice downtime. Which I know because I finished all of my games 45 minutes before even the extra 15 minutes. So I was, just telling Koray the whole day, dude, you just got to finish your games faster.
Yeah, that I feel. You're not wrong. Second, I feel like with this list I had to play a little cagey. Because if I rush the bikes forward without any support, then they just get picked off. And then nothing happens and then I lose. So, the first 2 turns, I'm flying the bikes around, pivot dodge, compulsory, stuff like that. So yeah, I agree. There were a lot of activations, in turn 3. Most of my games, we both had our activations, at full. So I think, by the beginning of turn 3, we still had 20 activations to go through. So it was still a lot. So again, Brendan, you're not wrong. I need to finish my game score.
You need to murder things faster.
But yeah. Commander Vader's a little slow. So
that's what the lat's for.
Yeah, I don't have a lat to drive him.
I know.
He has to manually walk there.
That's the problem.
Burst of
with
speed
Blizzard
helps,
Force.
but not that much.
That's the problem with Blizzard Force.
I guess you could call that a problem. Because I'll tell you about all my games of payload. So my first match is against an Empire list, and they had an ATST with Weiss, so throwing out tons of guns, and then they had Bosk, and then they had a bunch of stormtroopers that with the aim specialist and the HH-12. Yeah, that was interesting to say the least.
All hail the mighty HH-12.
Yeah, I didn't really expect that to do a lot, but it definitely did. The specialist helps a lot with the aim. But anyways, so what we landed on was it was payload advanced, and then the condition didn't really matter. We picked payloads. I sent him all the way to my left, and then he sent his I'm sorry, he sent mine all the way to the left, and then I sent his all the way to the same spot. So he decided he wanted to brawl, which is probably not the worst idea. If his ATST can blow stuff up, then that like at least kill 2 activations worth, then he's probably up. So what I did was I think I baited him into it, but I think that's what he wanted to do anyways. So either way. So I threw out a heavy response team unit as like a juicy target, and I advanced them forward because there was only one spot for his ATST to go really, which was next to his payload. And, he was going to move and then shoot, so which is what he did. So I gave him a juicy target. He shot at the Stormtrooper unit, and I'm like, okay, I mean, this is fine because I'm going to have my bikes come in and just, like, wreck his day. Because this is the first thing he does. Activation 1, turn 1, moves, shoots at it. With Blast, this ATST gets 3 hits.
Oh.
3 hits. That's it. Yeah. I think there was an aim as well. I can't remember. And I was like, wow, that's not what you want to see. So and then the Stormtroopers, I think, made 2 saves, and I was like, that's pretty good. Like, things are great. And then his list was also interesting. He had Del Miko, and then he had 1 repair bot. So he had a total of repair 4. And by like, it's not actual math, but like, I was feeling very confident I could blow up the ATST in 1 turn. I probably would have done it, but his ATST saves on turn 1 were kind of insane, actually. With impact 2 from the bikes, and then the impact 1 from the storms, I was getting like a bunch of crits through, like even natural ones with aims. I used all my emergency transpons, and then that thing made a bunch of saves. I think it had like 3 health by the end of turn 1, and that's after repair 3. Yeah, and then he went first. And then, I was like, well, okay, sure. That unit is still there for him to shoot. So, like, if this blows up, I'm fine with it. It did. It blew up. The heavy response team unit, which I kind of planned for. Anyways, so he blew that up, and then I blew up his ATSD. So that was, like, a way better trade, right, for me?
Seems like a good deal.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And then the way the payloads were marching, we had some really, really big buildings. So I hid Vader behind a building. Bosk was on top of a building. Boss got the bounty on my officer. I got really greedy with it. I'll just put it that way. I was trying to use the officer's 2-pip to shoot some snipers and kill some acts, but oh well. And then, so he was already up 1 with the bounty, and then he went to go hide Bosk. So I was like, okay, time to stop his payload, which Vader got in and did exactly that. But Vader died because 6 stormtroopers with an aim punching hurts. Yeah, it was quite brutal, but like, I got it in the end. I got it, my payload to move to range 1, so I got 2 points to his 1. There you go. Very close. Like, Vader dying is like very close still. Let's see, next game.
Well, I want to just throw in, Koray, before you get to your next game.
Yeah.
Your game went so long, and there was some other circumstances that required it to go a little into the lunch break, and we didn't have a very long lunch break to begin with. But last episode you talked about personal care at tournaments, and
you don't say.
Yeah, so Koray didn't get to eat lunch because of how much time it took for his game to happen.
Yeah. Our game went a little long. Yeah, a little snafu. Won't get into it. Yeah, so I had I think about 20 minutes. So I basically went to the restroom, drank some water, and then had a power bar. And I saved my bag of Cheez-Its for later on. And I clapped my hands and I was like, okay, here we go.
It's the moral of the story. Do what Koray says, not what Koray does.
Correct. I have good advice. I don't take my own advice.
Cheez-Its was the food you chose to power yourself through the day of all snacks?
No, I had the power bar, so the Cliff Bar, right? And then Cheez-Its was between round 2 and 3, I like to have something smaller, pretending I have lunch. So, yeah, it was a very long day. Let's just put it that way. Thanks for that, Brendan.
Yeah, anytime.
Yep. Okay, so moving along. My next game was against another Empire list. He was running double bounty. It's the new hotness. Double bounty with triple dewbacks, and then and he had Callus, which was fun. It was a fun little twist. Boba Cad did work for sure, and then the objectives we played was payload, major offensive. I forget the condition. It probably didn't matter. That's kind of like the theme. The conditions didn't matter too much. So the way it worked was there was like this big line of sight blocker in the middle that had some hidey holes that we can get some shots through. He moved his dewbacks up into the middle. I kind of got some early shots on a dewback, and basically this dewback would not die. It was sitting on one wound left for like so long. It made all these saves. It eventually racked up so much suppression. Like, remind me, I'll get back into that. That it just it just goes off the board. But basically, the payload, he sent mine all the way towards his back, and then near his deployment, he had like a nice spot near his deployment zone, and then I sent him all the way to my right. He only sent off a couple stormtroopers. I think the mandatory 3 core that you have to take. So the bikes could easily like shoot at a couple things that they need to shoot at, and then go influence his payload to go stop it, which is exactly what they did. My officer was helped move the payload, and Boba a dewback came in to get a range 3 shot on it, and then got 3 crits, didn't make any of them. So then Boba came to clean up, and then he rightfully so moved Boba the heck out of there by the end of turn 3, or by the beginning of turn 3, because otherwise Vader was going to go get to him. Boba ran away, and I was like, well, here we go. Just time to score a bunch of points.
Yeah, by the time I was able to start watching this game of Koray's, because, I like to finish my games soon.
Yeah, this game finished.
I saw Boba just sitting all by his lonesome on one side of the table. And at first thought I was going, well, is Boba just not doing anything, or is that just a dead Boba that they just left over there? No, it was a Boba hiding with a bounty. So
yeah, rightfully so. And then he played Cad's 1 pip at one point and completely deleted a bike. I think he had O push as well to get like an aim, and Cad's 1 pip lets him shoot twice, right? Is that the one I'm thinking of?
I think so.
Is that his 1 or 2 pip?
I think it's his 1, but regardless, he deleted a bike after 2 shots. So, and they didn't even get to activate, and it was like a full healthy unit. I was like, oh, this is bad. So that's the point where I thought I might lose, but the rest of my speeders, they did some work. They were able to kill the stormtroopers that were pushing his payload and then completely stop it and lock it down. And then I was able to push Vader up enough to kill Callus. I was chasing after Cad, and then eventually what I did was I locked up Cad in melee with a snowtrooper unit that didn't matter, so he couldn't like kill Vader or do anything else impactful. Long story short, I eventually got my payload to touch, so I got the maximum points, 3 points to his 1. So that was a good one. I thought I might lose because of the bounty, but turned out okay. Okay, so game 3. This is where make or break, right? Trying to get into at least top 5 to try and move on to the next day. This is against a Republic player. They were playing triple barks with Padme. I think it was just clone commander. So, and then some like just a bunch of core with like a bunch of cool stuff like a shotgun, and then Echo was in there. Don't remember the exact list, but they also wanted to go fast, right? We landed on payload. Big surprise. He's good at payload, but I think I'm a little bit better because I got the extra speeder. This was the interesting part. It was advanced positions. That's what it was. So he had divulged Padme's 3 pip to try and like score. I didn't think he would do it, but I basically deployed all my stuff in the middle, in the center where my payload is, because that's where I want to be. And our payloads were going opposite directions, so I'm going to the left and he's going to the right. And he put Padme all the way in my deployment zone to score, right? Turn 1. And I was like, I think this is fine. Like, in my head, I'm like, the speeders are just going to go after Padme and just kill her, which they did. Luckily, I didn't divert my plan and put some other stuff there. Speeders were really good at chasing her down. I think I killed Padme at the top of turn 2 or 3. And then my speeders came soaring in near some behind some line of sight blockers from his other stuff, and then Vader had some great line of line of sight blockers in the middle to, protect himself from the incoming clone standby stuff that he was trying to do. Vader just eventually just gets in, and then Vader and the speeders go to influence his payload, and then we just stop. He also ends up stopping my payload. We're both at range 2, so we're both at 1 point each. So it comes down to kill points, and Vader and the speeder bikes were able to just continuously lock up his payload and just kill more. So yeah, that was a very close game. Luckily, I was able to just kill a lot more than he did. So that was the end of a very long day. Yeah. Yeah, I made some little mistakes there with Vader.
He made some Vader mistakes that I called him out on after. So.
Yeah, definitely don't call me out on it during it. But
no.
A lot more to learn. Like, I think this is I've only really gotten 6 games of Vader in realistically at this point. So, yeah, a lot to learn. I got a few more tricks to learn, but it was still a good time.
I was just going to say, in regards to Brendan's comment, are you saying it is discouraged to heckle the players while they are actively involved in a round 3 game?
I'm pretty sure I laughed out loud at him, but,
He did, which is fine. Again, what I meant was don't tell me advice during the game.
Right.
I already made the move, and then he was
like... After the whole thing happened, I said, I wouldn't have done that, is basically what I'd said.
This was basically my game 3 exhaustion with no lunch.
Yeah, and Koray's playing the full amount of time for every game because he apparently just loves Legion that much. He doesn't want to have his games wrap up quickly.
I do. I just love it that much. I want to spend all of the time.
Soak in every minute.
So at the end of the third round, there was a play-in round basically. So we had 5 players that were 3-0, and they could only advance the top 4 from each. There was an optional play-in round for the 4th and 5th player, and lucky me, I think I got 5th. Yes, I'm pretty sure I got 5th that day.
Yep, you got 5th.
My opponent was gracious enough to just bow out because he was unable to, due to his life circumstances and then work. He wasn't 100% sure he was going to be able to make it to Adepticon where Worlds is going to be, and then I on the other end will definitely be there. So he just said, yeah, let's not play. You go ahead and take the win, and that was awesome of him. So I very much appreciated that because I got dinner right after.
Yeah, we got dinner right after that. Well, after all the swag, but I just want to give him an extra shout out. Beyond being a great guy who let you make it to the top 8, he was also the best CIS player.
Yep.
For the weekend, who did bring double AAT.
Huge shout out.
So I mean, a lot of people were going with no, CIS made it to the top 8. Well, there was a shot, but the guy graciously bowed out to let somebody else get an invite to Worlds because he didn't know if he could make it.
Yeah, his list was cool. It was double AAT and then 2 STAP speeder bikes, which I really like that inclusion. That's a pretty good one.
Was it the Droid Invasion Force or just a regular CIS?
I think it was just
list?
regular.
I'm not sure.
I think.
Okay.
Either way, it was awesome. Yeah, so then moving on to day 2, top cut. I fight none other than Keegan from Legion 99. He's an awesome dude. And then we had one hell of a battle. Guess what? We landed on payload again. Payload disarray. And I probably should have picked War Weary. I didn't. Instead, I opted for clear conditions. Also, I'm red player because Keegan's bid was, I think, 11. Yeah, I think it was 11. And for those that don't know, Keegan was running Triple Bark, Anakin, Padme, and then a bunch of clone stuff. My God. It was a bloody game. Nothing happened during round 1 and 2. It was just kind of set up. Okay, I lied. On round 1, on disarray, you have to place at least one unit in each deployment zone, right? So he set out a lonely bark over there, and I put all 4 bikes over there to go hunt that bark speeder. I was like, this this is how I win this matchup. Get ahead on Axe. And basically, my bag could do no wrong. I was like, okay, speeder bike, great. I activate it, do some wounds, speeder bike, great. Speeder bike, great. And he could not pull a bark from his bag to save his life. And I was like, alrighty. So that was nice, to get up on Axe early. And then, like I said, nothing really else, just positioning for turn 3, because we had these huge line of sight blockers. Like the same build, it was the same map as my first round opponent on day 1. So like these huge buildings and like just blocking a lot of LOS. And then turn 3, where the crash happened, like lots of stuff was dying, stuff was being force pushed, Master of Evil, everything. There was this one unit on the payload that just didn't want to die. Oh man, Keegan's red saves were like super gross. I guess I could say I kind of got tilted. I didn't show it, but I was like, my God, what is going on? I fought through all these dodges, these surges, like I'm used to that. But then like even natural saves, I'm like, oh, okay, cool. 4 out of 4. Got it. No problem. Yeah. Keegan's dice could do no wrong. And then what happened was I should have realized this would have been a kill points game rather than a objective based game, because like on Disarray, it's hard to get your card over there. So I like dumbly moved my heavy response unit rather than like shooting at something. If I had shot at something, it would have been like a much closer game to like try and kill something, but that's all right. I think I didn't shoot with 2 units and just moved towards my payload and his payload, because like I had stopped his cart twice, and I was like, I have a great chance of at least scoring 1 point, right? So it didn't shake out like that. Oh well. And then he got me on kill points. I don't remember how close it was, but good job, Keegan. Round 2. So this is the weird thing that they did. Rather than being a single elimination top cut, it was we did Swiss again. Okay. I'm still technically in it, which I didn't mind. More practice with the list is always good. And then I fought against a fellow listener of the podcast, Eric, a French Canadian, I believe. Him and his crew came down to Nova. He was an awesome opponent, and then he broke my payload streak. What a guy. We played
Kudos to him. Kudos.
Yeah, good. Yeah, I think you made the right call.
Someone had to.
100% made the right call. He was playing a really, really cool Rebel Hero Hammer list. He had all the teamwork. He had Han, Chewie, Cassian, K2, and then literally 3 Rebel Wookiees, but with no upgrade. I think maybe recon intel, and like that's it. So like just 3 big body. I think he had tenacity as well. So just 3 big bodies just coming after you. It was a lot to deal with. And then he also had like, I think 2 medics. So I was like, great, this is going to go great. Multi-wound models and medics. And great. We landed on hemmed in, for me as blue, hemmed in, hostage. And then I don't remember the other one. So Vader did a lot of bullying there. That's basically what it was. Vader did a lot of bullying to the hostage. He decided to aim and shoot with his fleet troopers that had the hostage rather than run away, which ultimately I think was the right choice, because then he got some extra shots on some stuff, but didn't end up like doing too much damage. I think maybe he got 1 wound on a stormtrooper. My speeder bikes actually went down really quick. Sharpshooter and Pierce are really gross against speeder bikes. So if you're looking for a way to beat this kind of meta, that's your answer, in my opinion. Sharpshooter and Pierce.
I have 3 snipers in my list.
that would eat him up for lunch for sure. Cassian came up on it. Oh, and then we played on the most insane map for Wookiees too. I was like, this is gonna be annoying. Like for me, like he's gonna have all the fun. I see John smiling. Basically, it's a Wookiee dream. There's so many buildings and like so much LOS, and the way hemmed in was, it was like this small narrow corridor where like the hostages are, and then like to my left and to my right are like a bunch of like buildings he could scale and like get in on my lines like really easy without me getting shots on him. So that was like a tough puzzle.
Sounds like a lot of fun.
Yeah. So like his Wookiees came in like kind of one at a time, so I was able to focus them down and shoot them down. But then like Cassian came, and then K2 came, and then Chewie and Han like from my left and from his right, or from my left and his right, or my right, whatever. I can't even speak today. And all that Pierce and Sharpshooter was just like really gross. It ate up a ton of my bikes. But luckily I was able to hold on to his hostage the entire time. I didn't kill his fleet troopers until like the last round. I think it was the second to last round. I like claimed it. I killed it. I claimed him. And then Cassian came over to try and melee, but it was like a little bit too late. A very close game. So it ended up being 2-1 because my hostage died from so much Pierce and Han and everything else. Oof. He was an awesome opponent, and glad he's a listener. Eric, keep on listening. Hope you like the show. Last game was against Dash's Mike Berry. This is where I learned some things. I should have never picked. I was blue player. He was playing. He was playing Anakin, Padme, a bunch of clone stuff, and then he had 2 pikes and a pike capo. And then he also had 2 regular snipers, no echo. So there was like a ton of firepower in this list. And we landed on payload was first in the ban list. So I was like, well, that stinks for me. So he banned that because all throughout the day 2 or day 1 for me, he was judging and he saw me like play payload and he was like, that seems like a great objective for you. Why are people giving you this? So then like it comes up first in the ban list and he's like, yeah, I'm not letting you play that. Good call. So then it was, I thought I would be okay on hostage exchange, and then I was like, limited viz, sure, this is fine for me because then I don't have to worry about his sniper shots. Turns out bad. Turns out real bad for me.
I was gonna say you've got units that can shoot at range 4 and units that go zoom and can shoot at range 3. You don't want lim viz.
Lim Viz is there to protect the bikes and to protect Vader, so that's why I like keep it in there. And the way the map was set up was like literally an open shooting gallery straight down the middle, and it was also, we landed on hemmed in. Meh. It was pretty meh. Basically, I'll put it this way. I have a lot to learn for hostage exchange against like standby sharing because he was able to go with his pikes way more than I thought. So he basically aim shot with the pikes during their activation, the hostage carrying unit, right? And almost blew up one of my stormtroopers. And then because I thought he was just gonna move back. I was like, sure, go ahead and move back. Like what else did he do? So he moved up Anakin and Padme in order to get into standby range for the pikes. So then they were able to like move and then move again. So I was like, this is not going well for me. Turn 2, he blew up my hostage carrier. And like with a fire support. Yeah. Luckily I made it a game though. Let me put it that way. So my speeders and Vader slowly crept in, like I think turn 4. And turn 4 I came crashing in, and then like I Master of Evil'd. A ton of stuff got a ton of suppression, and then I was hoping to like at least make him drop his hostage to like have him get no points on it. Or just 1 point, because I had my hostage eventually again. So then I was hoping for it to be a 1-2 scenario. But then he also threw Anakin all the way out towards me and started murdering my hostage carrier. So my only hope was to just like make Padme drop it. And then Padme had 3 suppression on, and then Padme's courage is 3, so like I needed him to make exactly no saves. He made 1, so he was able to claim and then move rather than just claim, and that got him the extra points. Either way, close game. Yeah, I made some turn 0 mistakes, but now I know that's a thing. Republic is kind of nasty with standby sharing.
See, John, you don't need anything extra.
I agree. Like,
yeah.
Like, dude, like
it's exactly what that means.
I predicted on this podcast that pikes would be super beneficial to the Republic. I feel like they are. Pikes are really good.
Yeah, so weren't 2 of the top 8 Republic lists, and you played both of them?
I did play both of them. Yeah. Oh, also, Mike's saves were kind of gross too. So, again, I'm not going to blame it on dice because like I definitely made mistakes, but they were definitely on fire. It was like 4 out of 4. 4 out of 5. Great. Cool.
I wish my dice would do
it's
that.
Like, great. Thanks.
My red dice might as well be white.
I don't know if it's any indication that Republic is fine. I just look at it as 2 of the best Republic players like in the country happen to be at the same tournament, and did really well. So that seems more like player skill to me than like the
I
faction.
agree. I'm in the same boat with you.
100%. Yeah.
Like Anakin, Padme, when played well, yes, they're gonna dominate. They're gonna be really great. That doesn't mean that the Republic doesn't need help. That'll wrap up Nova. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah, Nova was a whole lot of fun. Definitely want to go again next year. And now, I want to give an extra shout out to Koray. This is 3 major-ish events where you've gotten top 8 in a row now. Right?
Yeah.
Adepticon, ACO, and now Nova.
Yep, that's right.
You could, start losing more so the rest of us have a shot at the top 8.
Yeah. Oh, you know what? I don't remember if we mentioned it, but I finally got my Worlds invite. Hooray! Turns out,
Yes.
yes, that's like the biggest part of this. I'm super excited. So,
Congratulations.
thanks, buddy. Thanks. What do you call it? Turns out 4 of the top 8 already had Worlds invites, and they had 4 to give out. So the rest trickled down. So I was like, hooray! No matter what I do, I win. This top 8 for me was like pretty chill. I was not really super stressed about it like I was day 1, which was nice.
Yeah. So I'm thinking we need to now steal an idea from Legion 99. They tried to help Keegan win Nova. He didn't, but he got a Worlds invite. So now we need to have help Koray win Worlds. So.
That's right. We're gonna steal that segment. Totally original.
Definitely. Totally
Help
original.
Koray wins Worlds. There you go. I'm sure we could fit that in. And then followed by help Brendan get top 8, and then help John get a Worlds invite. There you go.
I need a Worlds invite too, but
Right.
don't have one of those. Baby steps, I suppose. Yeah. So Nova was a blast. We do, no Glorious or Inglorious this week because Nova took up all of our time because it was a lot of fun. Do want to say we have a special Glorious or Inglorious for our next episode. So just going to tease with that. It'll be really fun. Very entertaining.
Yeah. You guys should tune in for the next episode. It should be really good. It should be a lot of fun. Alrighty, with that, you guys have anything else?
Yeah, this episode is number 10 for us. Double digits.
Oh, that's right.
We made it.
We did it.
We made it to
Thank you
10
guys
episodes.
for listening. We've noticed that I think you guys like us. Our numbers keep going up, so I'm super jazzed. Again, if you want to give us some feedback, please send us an email at swlingloriousblasters@gmail.com. And then you can like our page on Facebook. Search for The Inglorious Blasters, a Star Wars Legion podcast. You can follow us on Instagram at SWL Inglorious Blasters. So you can use those avenues to ask us a question, or you just want to give us some general smack talk. Yeah, we're here for it.
Additionally, you can join our Discord if you want to interact with us more directly, because if you go to any of the other methods, I'll probably be your point of contact. Because as previously discussed, I'm apparently the only one who can
Yes,
read.
this still holds true.
But if you want opinions that aren't as biased towards the Empire, then definitely join the Discord. You can either reach out to us on the main Legion Discord. Each of our names is Inglorious, is our name followed by Inglorious Blasters, or you can find links on our Facebook or on our Podbean page.
I think with that, we can land this ship. Stay glorious, everyone. I'm Koray.
I'm John.
I'm Brendan. Don't let Koray play payload anymore.
This is a fact. Please don't let me.
I'm still the only one undefeated in payload.
If you liked this episode and would like to interact with us, please like our page on Facebook, search for The Inglorious Blasters, a Star Wars Legion podcast. Follow us on Instagram at SWL Inglorious Blasters. Subscribe to us on your preferred podcasting app. Please give us a rating and maybe leave a review. It would really help us out. Stay glorious, everyone.